So I bet there's a lot of happy people out there in the UFC community. JDM gets it done last night against Belal Muhammad. We have a new champion at welterweight. Let's take a look at some of Jack's best cards, his biggest sales, and we'll speculate on some of his future matchups. As always, I hope you enjoy this video. And just like that, Belal is not the champion anymore. We now have JDM, Jack Della Maddalena. I will say the fight was really entertaining, man. I thought it was a good fight. It was pretty competitive throughout. Me personally, I had it 4-1 JDM. I gave Belal a close round 4. I think 2 of the judges had it 3-2 JDM. 1 judge had it 4-1 JDM. But man, how good is Belal's chin? He got absolutely cracked multiple times with some really big shots. Got hit in a variety of different ways, straights, jabs, knees, hooks. I mean, he really just got hit from a bunch of different angles and was able to absorb it, and still stood his ground and even put some damage on JDM there towards the end. JDM's gas tank looked amazing. That was one of the kind of the biggest issues I thought that he might have coming up against Belal. He also looked great in the wrestling, takedown defense, was able to get up when Belal got him down a couple times. So shout out to Craig Jones. Craig Jones is working with these guys in Australia, man. Volk looked really good in the Islam 1 with his wrestling and his takedown defense and his ability to get up. And JDM looked great as well. So shout out to Craig Jones for getting these guys ready for these biggest moments. Let's take a quick look at some of the action shots that we had from the fight. Again, really fun fight, man. I enjoyed it quite a bit. There were some really cool shots here. You got Belal and JDM exchanging in the pocket. And most of this fight was in the stand-up, was a stand-up battle. JDM was able to, Belal would shoot in, he would stuff it, or up against the cage, he was able to, reverse position and get back to his feet and get to distance where he was looking really good, looking really smooth. He landed a big knee here. And also, this is going to be graphic, so just heads up. Also, look at that lip, man. He just split this lip so nasty. Like, that is going to be a lot of stitches right there. That sucks. That sucks because that's going to be a tough one. I know that the UFC plastic surgeon with the stitch job is incredible, but still, that's pretty nasty. Shades of Rosenstruck Overeem with this right here. Annie was cut here. He was cut here. He was bleeding all over the place. Probably has a broken nose as well. So JDM really took it to him. Fun fight, though. Really good main event. And let's talk about some of JDM's best cards. We've got true rookies, we got first autos, we got first on-card autos. We'll also look at some of his biggest sales. So we're going to go ahead and flip over to the card ladder screen share, and let's look at some of his biggest sales so far. And honestly, I was a little surprised to see some of this pricing. JDM, and this is probably going to change, right, because he just won. But as of right now, JDM is priced pretty well. I mean, I think these are pretty fair prices. If anything, considering Islam coming up and how big of a fight that's going to be, this could maybe even be a decent buy-in opportunity. Now, of course, people are probably going to price, their cards higher after that win. But I mean, look at this. His highest sale is $3,000. And I mean, if you watch the Bo Nickel, if you watch the Hamzat video, for those guys are not even titled. They haven't even won a title yet, and they're 5x. In Hamzat's case, 10x the price of this one-of-one, rookie. So pretty insane, man. Let's take a look at this card here. So we got the one-of-one rookie auto here, rated rookie for $3,000. And this was in 2024. So a lot of these are pretty recent sales. JDM was a 2023 rookie in the 2023 rookie class. So he hasn't really been around for too long as far as the cards go. Super Factor for $1,400. Yeah, man. And I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 5 cards that have sold over 1,000. Again, I'm sure that's going to change here soon. But I thought that was an interesting talking point. And when you're comparing, a champion which has reached the pinnacle of, has reached the top of the heap, has done it already, and he's only selling for $3,000 for a one-on-one rookie auto. To me, that's kind of how the pricing should be at this moment with JDM. A lot of these rookies are so inflated. Again, Hamzat, pretty much everybody, we're baking in their the Hall of Fame career into their pricing before they've accomplished anything. These prices, to me, while still speculative, of course, because who knows if JDM, at this time, if he was going to be a champ, We know that he's a champ now, but these prices are a little bit more reasonable in my opinion, and maybe even a little low right now considering he just won the belt. Now let's look at the true rookie for JDM, what is arguably going to be his most sought after card, and that is the 2023 Prism right here. And we got a gold Prism on the screen. This is a PSA 8. Pretty good looking card though, man. It's a vertical card, good image of him with the hands up. Very simple design, got some line work in it. But gold is always going to be a nice chase, in my opinion, one of my favorite color parallels. But I thought that this was a decent looking true rookie. So if you are, on the hunt for Jack, on the hunt for JDM, since he won that title, this is going to be his true rookie card here. You can find a bunch of them on eBay. And again, honestly, a lot of them are somewhat reasonable pricing. Like almost, I saw some pretty good parallels that we'll look at later for, below the 500 mark. I even saw a couple, below the 25 that were not his true rookie, but were rookie cards that we'll look at that were even more reasonable priced. So definitely, something to think about if you're a big JDM fan. If you saw that fight, if you think he has what it takes to continue a long run, some of the pricing for these cards is not that insane and actually kind of does make sense. So like right here, we got the true rookie, one of the golds, right? It's going to be the gold. That looks like a disco to me. It says gold shimmer. Going to be out of the undercard, I believe, was this one. And 1 of 10 is gold, $900. That was in 2023 also. So pretty early to buy in at that price. But like now, you're talking about a guy that won the champ, that looked amazing. He beat Belal Muhammad, who has been a problem in this division for a while. Really showed the takedown defense that you would want to see because he has the stand-up tools to really be successful. We got this one. This is what is this, true gold, it looks like. True gold for 800. So again, pretty reasonable stuff, man. Pretty reasonable stuff. And here is the shimmer. So this is going to be the shimmer. That other one was the disco, I believe. And this one was $650 on 2023. So some pretty good pricing, man. Pretty good pricing for these cards. Lucky envelope of 8 rookie card for $500. And that was really recent. Somebody bought this before, the main event, and Gem Mint 10 for $500 for that card. Right now, that looks like a great buy. So definitely one of the more reasonable priced rookies that we've seen in a while. And with his fighting style, I do think that that's going to change. I do think that he is going to definitely, increase as the thumbnail shows. I think his prices are really going to go up after this performance. He fights like this pretty much every time. Now the fight with Kevin Holland was a little bit, back and forth, and I think both of them were just doing a good job defensively, so they couldn't really get off on each other. But like, he's exciting. He's going to bring it every time. He has the skills, obviously, that we saw last night, and he's somewhat cheap. So I'm very curious to see in the next few weeks how JDM's pricing changes.
Hi, I'm interrupting my own video to let you know that if you're liking this UFC content, you can join the B.A.T crew and get early access to videos, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, and members-only videos, as well as custom-made membership badges and custom emojis that you can use to comment on my videos or live streams. It's $1.24 a week to join, so if you want to help the channel and you can afford that, check out this video up here for more details. Please like and sub. Thanks for all the continued support. Y'all are the best. Yeah.
So let's check out Jack's first auto. It's going to be the 2023 Don Russ rated rookie signatures, JDM. And this is an interesting one because, within Don Russ, we also have Don Russ Optic. And there are Optic autos that look very similar to this, but those are not his first auto. The Don Russ rated rookie signatures right here is going to be his first auto. So I think this, is probably going to trip some people up. And this is going to be his first auto. A lot of times in our minds, we think of, we have Prism, we have Select right there. But in 2023 and this year, Don Russ actually came after Prism. And shout out to Henry, MMA Rookies, for putting all the checklists on his site, because that kind of helped me when trying to figure out what was his first auto. So we got Jack Della here on the first auto with the sticker. And let me show the Optic one that is not his first auto. This one is not his first auto. This is Optic. So it does say Don Russ, right? And it's rated rookie also. So I could see people getting confused there and buying this thinking that this is the Don Russ first auto. This is not. This is Optic. This was a later year release. So just a heads up. I mean, obviously it's a great card. So, it's going to be a rookie auto, but it is not his first auto. So if that's what you're chasing, then you're going to be wanting this laser right here. And these lasers are good looking cards, man. Now, Don Russ, not necessarily known for, you know, the best card stock or the best quality control. They are a little bit, or they were a little bit of a cheaper product, but the lasers look amazing. And when you're talking about this price tag, like again, these prices are gonna be higher now, right, after he wins the title. But that is a pretty good price for a first auto of somebody that just won a title that, you know, could go on potentially to do better things. Now, when we're talking about speculation, you know, and I'm kind of, I would imagine I'm getting the rep of being like very anti-speculation, and that's not necessarily my attitude on it. My attitude on it is, you know, sometimes it makes sense. Almost always, it seems like nowadays with a lot of these prospects, it does not make sense at all. Way too much risk, way too high. Their pricing, even if they are, you know, have a Hall of Fame career, is not even going to match what their pricing is early on with some of these rookies. Now, this is a much different scenario where I think that this type of pricing, you know, the buy-in is pretty low, and especially now, like let's say if this of 10, you know, rookie first auto of JDM is, you know, 255 on 2023 when this came out. What do we think it is now? What do we think makes sense whenever we're speculating on a prospect? Can we even call him a prospect anymore? He just won a title. So like this guy is not necessarily even really in the same scenario. Now you're still prospecting on if this card will go up in value, you know, down the road. But to me, it's an interesting thought experiment and something that I think when you're buying and when you're speculating, you should be thinking about. So at this moment, you know, can you get this for below $500, a first auto of 10? I don't know, probably not. But like if you could, to me, that makes sense. The buy-in price is low enough that you can speculate and still have some room if he does end up only, you know, loses the next fight and then goes on a skid from there. Like the buy-in price is so low that it's probably worth that now. And if he wins, it could even continue to go up. And lastly, we'll talk about the first on-card auto. Again, shout out to MMA Rookies and Henry over there doing the Lord's work with that website. Go check it out. Throw them a donation. All of this information is really easy to find now because of that website and all the hard work he's putting in. And this is going to be the 2023 Immaculate JDM Immaculate Collections, and it's an RPA. So kind of an interesting thing here. We got the Rookie Mem auto, and we don't tend to see the UFC space really valuing RPAs like in other sports. But could that change over time? I think that could change over time. To me, the first on-card auto is still a fun one to chase. I would probably rank it below the True Rookie and the first auto, in my opinion. On-card is probably, you know, the third tier. But this is kind of interesting because it's on-card and RPA. So do what you will with that information. Again, it seems like the UFC space doesn't really put too much value on rookie patch autos. But this is a pretty nice card. You know, it was from 23 Immaculate. On-card auto here. It looks, I can't tell if this is like acetate or not. I've never seen one of these in person. Kind of a boring image if I'm being honest, but you know, still a really nice card. And let's see what this was selling for. So these are selling for, we got 450, 500, 400, and these are up 6 and below. So again, pretty good pricing, man. Somewhat reasonable here. We're not even in the 500 ballpark at the time of buying this. So pretty good pricing for whoever was buying these. I'm sure these, you know, are going to be going for quite a bit more now, but somewhat reasonable. So check these out. If you're into Immaculate, if you're into, you know, like the royalty look, maybe you'll like one of these. And it is still a first on-card auto, which in my opinion still has some long-term collectability. All right, so now we're getting into some value cards, some value buys. You know, this is not necessarily big hitters. This is something, maybe you're on a budget, maybe you're kind of skeptical of JDM. You're like, that was really fun. I like the guy, but I don't know if he's going to really have, you know, a top Hall of Fame career. I don't know if his value is going to be there, or you're just kind of a fan, you know, you don't want to spend a ton of money. So here's some cards that you could potentially look at. And some of these are for sale right now. So you can actually get these, you know, to buy right now at these prices, which this first one we're going to look at, I think is a pretty nice card. We got the 23 Chronicles JDM, and this is the green PSA 9 rookie. Why I think it's a pretty nice card is you got the glove and you got the tape matching the background of the card. That's pretty sick, man. Do you like Christmas? Do you like Kris Kringle? Do you like Santa Claus? Well, then you're gonna probably like this card too. And it's pretty simple design, right? It is Chronicles, so again, not like the huge name recognition of some of the other brands and sets from the 23 Panini era. But I do think that these look good in person. They have good shine. This picture doesn't necessarily do these cards justice. with how shiny they look, but I do really like all of the green and red matching in this card. And again, 75 bucks, dude. This is a of 29 PSA 9, so it's not the lowest rarity, but for 75 bucks, you know, if you could get this card down a little bit, because he does have make it offer open here, like, to me, that's a pretty fun card to have, especially with the price and, you know, the value associated. So that's one card you could potentially get pretty cheap. And this next JDM is a little bit of a speculative play. You know, as of this moment, a lot of these cards are not going for a ton of value, but I do really like the image on this card, and I think it's kind of cool. And this is going to be a 2022 Panini Instant JDM rookie card. So we know Panini Instant, a lot of the times they were the true first release for these. So while a lot of people are not going to say that they are the true rookie, you know, because it was a Panini Instant online release, technically they were released well before his 2023 print dates. I have a couple of these cards, and so this was 1 to 186, right? So it's a short print to 186, but this is just a really good image right here. Just a nice liver shot, dude, picture perfect, covered up on the cage and just blasting them in the liver. So kind of an interesting speculative play. And when you're talking about 20 bucks, if you're a big Panini Instant guy, if you really like the first release cards, like, you know, whether it's the unlicensed cards and you like to collect the first releases of those, maybe this is kind of your jam and you could check this out. But again, kind of a speculative play, not really a big name brand, Panini Instant, but do with that information what you will. And this next one is a really fun card. I think this might be one of my favorite JDM images from his rookie year. And this is going to be the Dominators. This is a little celebration tongue wag. Like, what do you want? What do you want from me, right? You got the little image on the back with the little filter on it. But again, we're talking about a gold Gem Mint 10 of 10, PSA 10 for $2.99, dude. Like, that is pretty decent price in my opinion. Now, what I don't like about this card, there's no rookie emblem in sight, which is silly to me, very silly. But sometimes it happens, man. It's happened with Topps. It happened, you know, with Panini. Sometimes for whatever reason, they don't put the rookie badging on there. But I think the red with the red looks pretty sharp. You got the gold in the background. You got him doing, you know, the funny tongue celebration. And again, the value, we're talking about a pretty big hitter card for $2.99 for 300. And again, we got make offer on here. Potentially Sicily Boys TC, what's up, dude? If you're watching, potentially they could even get you a better deal on this. And we have 2 active offers, so you need you need to get out there quick if you're trying to get that. But one thing about this video that I thought was cool, that I wanted to talk about, is we finally have a guy that's exciting, that's a champ, that is a recent rookie, that is not like astronomical pricing. So when I was looking at some of these cards, I was like, dude, this is actually really, you know, decent pricing for a guy that could potentially, you know, be really exciting career, and that's already a champion that was a rookie, you know, only 2 years ago. So what is the future for JDM? He just beats Belal. He's the champ at welterweight. What is the future for him, man? And again, shout out to everybody that was at the live. If you're at the live before the fights, you know that we talked about this graphic, and it was basically, if Belal wins, we're gonna get Islam versus Ilya, and then if JDM wins, Islam's going up. Islam's gonna fight JDM at 170, potentially be double champ, and then we get Ilya versus Duke Bronx, Charles Oliveira, which is great matchups, man. I'm happy that JDM won. We can get Islam to move up. We get Ilya getting you know, a contender fight against potentially Olives. And then whoever wins that, if Ilya wins that, then he fights Islam, whether he wins or loses, against JDM. I think that in the universe, I think that's the right play. Really fun matchups though, man. And what do we think is going to happen with JDM in the future? I mean, this is a stacked division, a really fun division right now. JDM at 5, obviously, you know, wins, so he's up here. We have Sean Brady at 1, who looked amazing against Leon Edwards, really suffocated him on the ground. We have, you know, Shavkat coming off a knee injury, so he's going to be out for a while. You know, we got Usman fighting Buckley soon. We just had Ian Gary put in a pretty good performance, you know, besides that last 3 minutes in the end of the 4th round. Put in a really good performance against Prates, so like he's in the mix. So now we have 3 or 4, you know, maybe 5 guys really in the mix right now for, you know, potentially a title shot or a contender fight to see who is going to be in the title shot against JDM. Now we know that Islam is gonna fight JDM most likely. I think the only reason that wouldn't happen is some type of injury in camp. So cross our fingers. Hopefully we get that. But my question is, what could happen to JDM's career in the next year or two? Let's like crystal ball it. Let's get creative. What could happen, man? What could happen? Okay, so let's say that JDM wins against Islam. He just beats the #1 pound for pound guy in the UFC. Does that catapult him even more? Are people mad that Islam lost? I think at the very least, he gets a slight blip up. At the very best case scenario, he skyrockets up and he is the new hobby darling, especially dependent on how that fight goes. If it's a crazy knockout or, you know, some type of war like it was with Belal, I think that really goes a long way with fans. So you know, that's one avenue. The other avenue is Islam comes up from 155 and he beats JDM at 155. So what's the worst case there? I mean, everyone knows that Islam is one of the best fighters in the UFC right now, one of the most talented, you know, even in the last couple of years. So it's like, I don't think he would take a huge dip there either, even in a potential loss to Islam. Now, that definitely would make it harder for him to get back into title contention. He's going to probably have a contender fight, you know, against one of the 4 or 5 guys that I just talked about. And then after that, have to get back to the title, because I would imagine that Islam would be there. Now, will he relinquish the title as soon as he gets it? That's definitely a possibility if he wants to go back down to 155, especially if Ilya wins against Olives. So, I mean, a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different, you know, avenues that he could go with winning the title now. But it's a really interesting time in the welterweight division with Islam moving up. So I'm excited that we have, you know, a fun, blood and guts, gritty champ that's going to really go out there, throw hands, try and get finishes. And I'm happy JDM won. I think it's good for the card space. And I also think, you know, it's just good for the UFC in general. If you enjoyed this video about me talking about JDM and some of his cards, you might like some of my other videos, so you can check those out over here and subscribe for more content just like this.